Queen of Sheba. It was sundown on the Friday before Christmas. The weather was ice cold and foggy in Detroit. As Desmond drove his hoop-tie Chrysler 300 past the boarded-up houses and abandoned small factories on St. Aubin Street, he and decay sang. Now on the first day of Christmas, my homeboy gave to me a sack of the crazy glue and told me to smoke it up slowly. Now on the second day of Christmas, my homeboy gave to me a fifth of hen dog and told me to take my mind off that weed. Now by the third day of Christmas, my big homeboy gave to me a whole lot of everything, and it wasn't nothing but game to me. Desmond turned down a deserted street and parked behind the Queen of Sheba automotive machine shop. They both checked their guns. No witnesses, decay said. Abso-fucking-lutely. Those Somalis are going in the dustbin. On went their ski masks and up went their hoodies. They walked in through the loading dock of the shop, drawing their guns. All right, everyone, nobody moves, and nobody gets hurt. The shop had only the loading dock in the back and a front door. They didn't have a front office, just desks on one end of a large room. Two huge, fat women in full-length Somali jalabibs with giant scarves sat at a long desk. That was their counter. All Desmond and decay could see was part of their faces and hands. Both considered them so chicken-head ugly that nobody would ever bang them. On the other side of the room, skinny little African men worked on giant machines. Several of the workers burst into cackling laughter as they chirped in their African language. Decay found it unnerving. After inspecting them and their guns, the men just cackled again and went back to work, further insulting decay and Desmond. "All you, shut the fuck up. Now close those doors," decay said. Without another word, the workers began pulling the chains that closed the rolling steel service doors. What surprised Desmond was that the workers slid the lock and bolts and padlocked them. Stupid idiots, he thought. Locking the door made it easier to shoot them. Decay pointed his gun at the fatter of the women. "Are you the Queen of Sheba? This place yours?" She stood up, towering above Desmond and decay. They both watched her as she locked with keys the many double deadbolts on the front door. She even pulled down the closed shade, conveniently blocking any eyes on the outside. "Yes, I am the Queen of Sheba," she said in a booming bass voice, "and this is my daughter, the Princess of Sheba. Just keep your tongue in your pocket and open that safe." She giggled in that same bizarre cackling sound that the men made, but her laughter was a deep rumble like a crocodile. "What safe? We got no safe, silly boy. Everyone knows you got the cheddar. What do you think this is, 1950? Everything is electronic. The big business deposit to our account. We pay everyone by direct deposit, no cash." Desmond looked at the counter and saw that there wasn't a cash register. The Princess of Sheba stood. She pointed at a sign on the back of her computer terminal that read, "No personal checks and no cash." Then she joined in the cackling, her laugh as deep as her mother's. "They charge us at the bank if I deposit more than $1,000 cash a month." Desmond turned to decay, furious. You said this place is just dead presidents. You said we would get 30 large. Shekay shook his head. That's what my cousin Malik said. He saw the bands. Shekay looked around the room. All the little men were undressing and neatly placing their clothes on their big machines. What are you waiting for? We are sloppy eaters, one of the men said. Shekay looked at the faces of the workers. A few were still smiling, but most were drooling with hunger. He heard stomachs gurgle and growl. His stomach filled with butterflies, and he could feel the goosebumps rise. The queen and the princess took off their clothes. Blood is so hard to wash out, the princess said. They definitely were female, but they looked like no woman either Desmond or Shekay had ever seen. Their pillowy bosoms came off with their outfits, and their thick necks and huge arms were solid muscle. Both had marathon runners' pumped calves and washboard stomachs. I had wondered where we were going to get dinner tonight, the queen said, and look, dinner comes to us. Desmond and Shekay heard the groans and the stretches of the men as they could see them change in front of their eyes. Their jaws and necks grew. Tawny, spotted fur sprouted on their skin. They became beasts with huge teeth. Shekay recognized them from a picture at school. Those are hyenas from Africa. He couldn't help it, but he screamed and trembled with fear. His mind went blank, as if he were watching everything on TV. You aren't real. You can't be real. The animals all laughed, circling both he and Desmond, as Shekay froze and filled his pants with explosive diarrhea. Desmond shouted, "Get back! Keep back!" Shaking in terror. Desmond and Shekay fired at them. They shrugged off the bullets like baby bitch slaps. One of the animals leaped and crushed the bones in Desmond's arm, slicing his hand off. The gun fell, but Desmond's hand was quickly gobbled up like a fast finger food. Another mouth snapped through Shekay's wrist and proudly trotted away, clutching the hand between his teeth. Desmond collapsed in shock and struggled for each breath, trying to stop the blood spurting from his wrist. The queen knelt beside him and removed his shoes and pants. She held his penis with fur-covered fingers that had sharp claws at the tips. My, what a little sausage you have, and these meatballs are so much tiny. She punched her thumb claw through his penis and his testicles. He screamed in agony as she licked up each drop of blood. I like to play with my food, the queen said. Then she savagely bit all his junk off and swallowed. The pain exploded so violently that Desmond vomited. His heart hammered as her claws lengthened and she grew a short tail. She undid his jacket, lapping up the fountain of blood spurting from between his legs. For the first time, Desmond realised he was going to die. He called to Shekay for help, but his answer was tortured screams amid the frenzy of snarls, snaps and cackling laughter. He felt himself becoming dizzier and weaker with each drop of his life's blood that was draining away. The queen bit into Desmond's stomach, shaking and tearing his insides apart, cracking his ribs with her great teeth like breadsticks. Then she pushed her jaws into his body and gobbled down his liver. The pain became too horrible to bear. Shock and blood loss made Desmond and Shekay's worlds fade to black. The Queen and Princess ate their insides, from their kidneys up to their hearts. Then all the workers joined in, ripping them apart in a frenzy of eating. Their arms, legs and heads were twisted and snapped off. The heads were pulled off and cracked open by massive teeth. It wasn't just their muscle and organs that were eaten, even their bones and teeth were crushed by powerful jaws and gobbled down. Within 15 minutes, nothing was left of Desmond and Shekay. After dinner had settled and everyone had belched contentment, all the remaining signs that either of them had ever been there were carefully scrubbed away with industrial cleaning chemicals and power tools. Wailing in the decay. The next few paragraphs are part of a partially decomposed book recovered in Centralia, an abandoned town in Pennsylvania. During a trip there by a pair of tourists from England, it is possible evidence of a creature known as Descry or the Descrier. It has been reported by over 20 people and is a case being looked into by the CGMC. Here is an edited version of the document recovered. All the unintelligible parts have been removed. 1st to the 4th, 08. Today was good. Me and Josh decided to explore a bit, head inside some of the buildings of the few residents left there. They didn't bother us. We've only seen 2. Must say, it is very spooky in those buildings, being dark with no light. So far the only real valuable things we've found is a couple of clocks and a few dollars lying around, various tools and such. Most of the stuff is rusted and useless. The weather's peculiar too. We've had dark clouds over us, but little rain, and we've heard the wind howling in bursts. Although we've felt only the weakest of breezes, it's also quiet dark. So we had to add extra firewood to the fire and use more batteries for our flashlights than we expected. Otherwise, this is going well. Hope to find at least as much as we did in Chernobyl. 2nd to the 4th, 08. Well, we haven't found much at all. Only the clocks and an old stereo, a guitar and a wristwatch. Doesn't look too fancy either. Might ask some of the residents about the city, of course. Not to tell them why we are here, but just ask them a few questions. The air is a bit smoky here too, and there's been little wildlife. That goddamn insistent howling is still going on, and the rain is coming down a bit more now. It's a lot more spooky here after dark, but it could be worse. If only that wind would stop. 3rd to the 4th, 08. Today was a bleak and boring one at that. Josh was feeling sick, and we decided to take a break. Must be the smoke from the mines. Unfortunately, we've nearly run out of firewood as well, so tomorrow I'll have to spend some time getting some. That means less time hunting for stuff. which is kinda frustrating. I was thinking of going into one of the houses and staying in it, but Josh said that could be dangerous because of the fire risk and darkness, although I countered that with the fact that it might muffle that horrible fucking howling wind. Haven't seen one of the residents for some time now, but Josh said he did spot someone on a nearby hill just watching us. Guess they didn't like us staying here. I think I might agree with them. 4 for the 4th, 08. Alright, this is freaky. That guy, the one we saw yesterday. Yeah, saw him again today. He was staring at us, looking kinda greyish, and he was wearing pretty tattered clothing. Sure hope he's not from the correctional institute nearby. Anyways, today was shit. Had to chop firewood for 2 hours because of a blunt axe, and then carry it into the camp. Josh is feeling a bit better. Although we've decided to leave soon, nothing is here except some useless junk, and it's really spooky. Nothing like any of the other places we've been. I'm starting to think that the howling is some kind of animal, but really doesn't sound like any animal I've ever heard. Fucking messed up, man. 5th of the 4th, 08. Oh god, that thing is back. It's the thing making the bloody howling. It's definitely not human. Now that we've got a close look, its skin is grey, and it's got those blue-grey eyes covered in dust. I guess it's about 8 feet tall, and has these massive arms down to his ankles. Frightening thing, I tell you. It was on top of the building nearby, watching us, and emitting that horrible bloody howl. I swear we're leaving tomorrow. I've got my gun beside me, just in case it comes back. Josh is as scared as I am. He's fucking bawling his eyes out. I can tell that fucking thing is after us. I can hear it howling nearby. It's just so... The writing became unintelligible past this point. And that's it for tonight, my little hellhounds. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed these scary stories, then don't forget to subscribe and click the like button, and click the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload. If you have any scary stories you want narrated on the channel, then submit them to Reddit r/homeofscares, and follow me on Twitter at homeofscares. Now, good night, my little hellhounds.